Hello friends, my name is Jess and welcome back to my channel, Books Past Bedtime. In today's video, we are going to be tier ranking all of the books that I have read on KU in 2024. I have done this video annually for the past 2 years. This will be my third one, I believe, so I'm so excited. I tend to read pretty much exclusively romance, specifically exclusively queer romance. Luckily for me, there is a huge library of those kinds of books through KU. Just pay a small monthly subscription, have millions of free books at your fingertips. So I tend to take advantage of that. And I have read, I think, like 45 or 50 books off of KU this year, something in that range. So let's talk about all of them in this like a quick, easy to digest way. We're going to tier rank them all. I did this, I think, in another video where I ranked books. I'm going to draw the categories from Drag Race and put them in my tier rank to make it easy. I feel like those are like simple to understand. They're also funny and I like the reference. So that's how we're going to do it. Our top category, our hardest category is top, obviously. And then high, safe, low, and bottom. I feel like those are pretty self-explanatory. I don't have much else to say, so let's just hop right into it. All right, here is the tier ranking. I honestly tried to put the books in order of how I read them, but it didn't work out and the tier ranker just uploaded them randomly. So I'm gonna do my best to like remember what they're about. I do have some notes, so because some of these books I read all the way back in January. Anyway, let's get into it. The first book down here actually is the first book that I read on KU this year, and that is The Royal Curse by Elliot Grayson. This is the first book in a series called Twilight Mages. It is an fantasy romance, and it's between a prince and his bodyguard, and there's also like some form of cursed magic, kind of reminiscent of Omegaverse situation, but it's not Omegaverse, but like similar-ish. I ended up rating this one 3 stars. I didn't love it. It's also not super memorable to me. I think I thought parts of it were hot. It does have some like brutal miscommunication in it though, so it's definitely not a favorite. I am gonna put it in safe though because it wasn't offensive. It just is kind of unmemorable. Next on the list is Never Have I Ever Submitted to My Enemy by Willow Dixon. This book is actually a reread this year. I read it for the first time last year, and I'm sure you can guess since I reread it, it is going to the top. I love this book. This is an enemies to lovers, and it has the anonymous trope in it. It's a contemporary college romance. It also has some like hot kink exploration in it. I really love this book. It's a 5-star read for me. I love it so much. It belongs in the top. Another book that I'm going to put in the top is Prince of Agony by Tavia Lark. This is the 6th book in her Perilous Court series, and it's the last and final book. In this book, we're following Prince Kazuya. He is the last of the princes to get a romance, and in the previous books, when we're introduced to him, he's very like bratty and seems very spoiled and a mess, but we really come to find out that he is hiding a lot of inner pain and turmoil. And this book kind of is like a romance between Prince Kazuya and somebody that's being held captive by their family, and they kind of form this bond and decide that they want to escape together. It becomes a lot of like hurt comfort, like who did this to you, those kinds of tropes, which I love. I eat up every time. So I love this book. It was a 5-star for me and it belongs in the top. All Dolled Up by Char Croft, on the other hand, I'm gonna put in the bottom. I actually did DNF this book. I'm gonna do a video of all my DNFs for the year, so I'll talk about it more in depth there. But basically this is an contemporary age gap romance involving kink, as you may be able to tell by the title and the cover, and I just found it wasn't for me, and it was kind of weird, and I DNF'd it for that reason. I'm sure it floats somebody's boat, but it didn't float mine, so it's going down there. Another reread for me this year was Reading the Signs by Kira Andrews. I love this book. This is an contemporary sports, i.e. baseball romance. It does have an age gap as well. It's basically about a rookie and a veteran player, and the veteran player kind of steps into like a mentor-mentee role for the younger rookie player who has like anger issues but a lot of raw talent. End up having this really hot, really adorable, really sweet romance. I love this book to death. I think it's one of the best sports romances out there. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It is so good. I love that book. 5 stars, needless to say. Okay, this next book on here, Face Off by Marina Vivancos. There's quite a few in this series mixed up in here. I'm not sure where the rest of them are at this moment. Face Off though, I do think I'm going to put in the safe category. I gave this one in particular 3 stars. It is the 2nd book in the Alpha Omega hockey series, which is honestly a pretty ridiculous series. Obviously it's Omegaverse, but it's contemporary and non-shifter and between players on a hockey team. This one in particular is like a rivals slash enemies to lovers romance between two hockey captains of rival teams. I enjoyed it. Like, I gave it 3 stars, but it's not super memorable and it wasn't one of my favorites in this series. I mostly just read these for the smut. They're really stupid. And this one was no different, but we'll put it there for now. Oh Sacred Dark is another book by Marina Vivancos. This is more of like a fantasy romance, and it's set in this world. Again, non-shifter, but it is a fantasy world. But each person in this world is born as like a dom or a sub, so it's like sort of similar to Omegaverse vibe. I actually did quite like this first one. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. It's the first in a new series, and this book is like kind of like one of the leader figures who is a dom in this like kind of coven situation. A new sub guy who comes in. I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was good. I think I originally gave it 4 stars. It is not something I find myself thinking about though, and not necessarily something I would super recommend. But out of all the books I read on KU this year, like a 4 star was pretty good, so it's gonna go in the high category. Opposite end of the spectrum, Enemy Match by Anna Weinhardt. I'm gonna put this one in the bottom category. It was not good. This was another book I actually ended up DNFing. It is another Omegaverse romance. This one I think is like contemporary non-shifter as well, and it's kind of like a one-sided enemies to lovers. These two neighbors who one hates his neighbor and the other has a crush on the neighbor. They get like randomly matched up as like perfect matches on this dating app and decide to go out on a date and realize that they like are fated mates or whatever. This was just really, really stupid. Like the book, I read a lot of stupid shit on KU, like I'm not gonna lie, but this book, the writing was just so bad and the situations that these characters were in were so ridiculous. I did not find it enjoyable at all, so yeah, I ended up DNFing this one, and so it's in the bottom. Another DNF is Old School Discipline by Misha Horn. This is I think it's, I don't know if it's high school or college, but our main character is like sent off to this boarding school. It's kind of like a juvie thing too, like he's bad, flunked out of every other school, like has behavioral problems, blah blah blah. So he gets sent to this school and he gets paired up with this roommate who teaches him some discipline. Basically, this is very much like a bully feeling romance, which I don't tend to like. I don't like it when our characters genuinely hate each other and they're being physical with one another. It's just not my cup of tea. This book was way too harsh for me, and if I didn't say it's contemporary, but I ended up DNFing that one as well. Not the book for me. Okay, Something Unforgettable by Rory Maxwell is an age gap contemporary romance, and this series is kind of like a daddy kink series. It's also got small town vibes. This one was pretty cute. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. It wasn't super memorable. It wasn't super well written, but it definitely wasn't like offensive by any means. Like I think I enjoyed reading it for the most part, so I'm going to put it in the safe category. And this next book is Something Unprofessional, also by Rory Maxwell, also in that same series, just following different characters. Honestly, a very similar story, except this one was boss and employee, and the two kind of like meet anonymously outside of work and hook up at like this like kink club where they're disguised, and then they realize what's happening and that they know each other outside of this scenario, and that they actually work together. And they have to kind of like try and navigate that. I think I gave this one the same rating, like 2.5 stars. It's okay, not my favorite. Again, like fun for what it was. The next book we have here, Earth Boys Are Not Easy. This is by C. Rochelle. This is a sci-fi romance, and it's between basically these two idiots. One guy is like a human, but he's a superhero, and the other guy is an alien, and he basically, it really reminded me of The Host by Stephanie Meyer, where like the alien is like this being that inhabits other beings, and so he can basically has like all these skin suits that he can change into, and like if he kills somebody he can add their suit to his collection. Kind of an interesting situation, but he is grumpy to our human character Sunshine, and they fall in love like while the alien is on a mission on Earth, and the human like attaches himself, like there's like an accidental bonding situation that happens too, where they have to like, they can't be without, so when he teleports back to space, like they go together. And then there's only one sleeping pod, and you know. I gave this book 3 stars. I thought it was cute, and there's actually like a lot of funny moments in it, but I also kind of found our main character to be quite insufferable. I thought he was kind of annoying. And I also wanted more like yearning and more feelings. It was, I don't know. There was like some good things about it, but it wasn't a new favorite, so it's going in the safe category. The Captive's Curse by Elliot Grayson. Another book I DNF'd. This is actually a follow-up to Royal Curse. the second book I just couldn't get through. So again, it's fantasy romance. We're following our main character Cyril. He's held captive by this man, Sir Enzo, to get a payout, but they end up falling in love. Except I was like 65% of the way through this book when I DNF'd it, and I wasn't feeling the love. Captor is actually very mean to Cyril. Like, I could tell that he was physically attracted to him, but he like was very like emotionally mean and just like rude to him, and I am not about that. I want everyone to be happy and kind and desperately in love. And so I ended up DNFing it because I didn't think that I could forgive our love interest enough for me to like want them to be together in the end. Right, here's another Tavia Lark book that's popping up. If you didn't know, I did a deep dive into Tavia Lark's backlist because she's one of my favorite authors, my definite favorite KU romantasy author. So if you haven't seen that video, go and check that out. But this is another book that I read for that video. It's called A Game of Cat and Wolf. This is one of her erotic shorts. These are all like 30 pages, so they're definitely nothing like crazy. A Game of Cat and Wolf, I ended up giving 3 stars. It's an paranormal romance between a werewolf shifter and a cat shifter, and they just kind of like meet up at a club and realize that they're fated mates. So I'm gonna put that one in the safe category. You're Not My King by Aaron Hawk is another one that I DNF'd. There was nothing wrong with this book. I think I was just not in the mood for it. It almost was like similar in some ways to Earth Boys Are Easy, except in this book we're following a human who gets sent off to this planet, and like I feel like he's like abducted by aliens and then like sold off to this like random planet and forced to become this alien's mate. And like this alien is really in love with him, but there's like language barriers and like size differences and like all that bullshit. I think like if I had been in a different mood when I was reading this one, I would have liked it and I would have kept going. But when I was reading it, I just wasn't feeling it, and I didn't really feel the chemistry between the two main characters. It just, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it, so I ended up DNFing it, so I am gonna put it in the bottom. Next, we have a collection of monstrous short stories by Lily Main. These are a series of short stories that go along with her Monstrous series, which is an paranormal dystopian monster human romance series, and I enjoyed reading these. I think I probably gave it a 3-star. They're not necessary to read. They're kind of just like cute, fluffy one-shots about the characters that like I already know and love, but I didn't really feel like I got much out of it. I honestly don't even remember the stories that much, so I am gonna just put it in the safe category. Here is another Tavia Lark erotic short. This one's called Werewolf Happy Hour. This one is a companion to A Game of Cat and Wolf, although I did like this one a little bit better, so I guess I'm gonna put this one in the high category. This one is a similar situation where it's a werewolf shifter and a human who get together in this short, and they realize they're fated mates. They meet at a club, blah blah blah. This one was cuter, the chemistry was better. It's so short though that it can't really be that great. I think I gave it 3.5, 4 stars, so I'm gonna put it in the high category. Alright, and next we have My Minotaur Daddy. I actually really liked this book. I can't decide if I want to put it in high or in the top. I definitely liked it better than these two that are here. I'm gonna put it up here. I did only give this one 4 stars, but looking back, it is one of the more memorable ones on this list, and I did really enjoy it and I thought it was fun. It's an fantasy romance, and it's between like a little cutie fae and a daddy minotaur. There is some BDSM involved, as you could probably guess, and it's basically the Fae character. He's kind of shunned from his world and he moves to this like small town, starts to learn about himself and what true love is and what it means to be like supported, and he gets like a found family, and it's actually really cute. I really like this one, so it's gonna go up there. Next on the list is Bound to the Wild Fate by Tavia Lark. This is another book I read for my Tavia Lark video. This is actually her newest release, and it's kind of a part of like a multi-author series that's happening on KU, but this is the only one I've read. It's an paranormal romance between a human with a sight and a fae. This book also involves accidental bonding, which I love, and it has some like fun misadventures, and it's actually really funny. I think I'll probably put this one in the top category. I gave it 4 stars though. It's not my favorite Tavia Lark. I do think it was just more of like a fun romp kind of book, and it's not super like serious or super like, it is very well written, but it's not as like well plotted and thought out feeling as some of her other ones. I don't know. I feel bad saying that, but it is really fun. I liked it, but it's like 4 stars. Next on my list is Change of Heart by Claire Lydon. This is like the only FF book on this list. Don't cancel me. I read a lot of sapphic romance. They just weren't on KU. Anyway, I'm gonna actually put this one in the low category, which I feel even worse about, but I actually really enjoyed this book. This is an FF romance, like I said, and it's fake dating. Basically, our main character hires the love interest to be her fake date. She's an actress for this like family situation, so she doesn't have to answer all these questions from her family about when she's gonna settle down, when she's gonna get together with somebody, blah blah blah. And I really liked it. Like, I thought the characters had really good chemistry. I liked the story. It's set in Scotland, so that was really fun. But then it got to this it went a really weird direction in the end. In the back half of the book, it just went to a place that I don't think it needed to go to, and I don't think it should have gone to. So I ended up settling on like 2 stars for this one, and it was so disappointing because it was so good for so long, and then it just went off the rails. So I'm gonna put it in the low category. The next book down here, The Step Bet. I think this is by Riley Hart. Devin McCormick. This is actually another one that I DNF'd. It is an contemporary romance set in college, and it follows these 2 stepbrothers who are very competitive and have all these dares against one another. I think that it was like leading up to be kind of like a gay chicken situation, but I did not get to that point. I literally DNF'd it like in the first 25% or so because the writing was just really bad. The characters had no chemistry. I had no interest in seeing them get together. The dialogue was really stupid and bad, and I just thought it was dumb and I didn't want to read it. So it's going in the bottom. Mind to Claim by Evie Olson. I kind of think I'm gonna put that in the low category. This was another kind of like short novella situation. It was an dystopian kind of romance, and it's basically about these 2 guys that like meet while they're out in the dystopia trying to survive, and they like decide they're gonna like help one another, and then they hook up. It was fine. I thought it was a little harsh for 2 strangers. I don't know. I think it was like hot when I read it, but thinking about it now, I don't know. The next book is called Love in the Truck Stop Bathroom. It's by Sebastian O'Connor. This is a book that is like the You've Got Mail anonymous trope, and it's between these 2 teachers who I think it's kind of like a one-sided enemies to lovers situation, but they both decide to start like an anonymous hookup with somebody at a truck stop, and little did they know they're hooking up with each other. I actually really liked this one. I will probably put it in the high category. Like, I think it's good. This is another novella. It's a short one, so if you're looking for something like short before the end of the year, this is a good one, especially if you like that trope, which is why I originally picked it up. I love the You Got Mail / anonymous trope, and there's just not enough of it, and so that was one, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Next on the list is Kick at the Darkness by Kiera Andrews. I'm gonna put that in the low category, which hurts me so bad. Kiera Andrews is one of my favorite like romance authors. She has most of her stuff on KU. I mean, as you can see, Reading the Signs by Kiera Andrews is in the top category. This book was so disappointing to me. This is an dystopian romance. It's number 1 in a series of 3. It just was not good. Like, I just didn't like it at all, and I'm so sad that I didn't like it. It's basically enemies to lovers. The book starts out with our main characters like in college, and I think they don't like each other for some reason. Oh, one's the TA and one's a student. He thinks the TA like graded him too harshly or something. I don't know. They don't like each other. And then the zombie apocalypse happens, and they're kind of forced to have to like band together to survive. And I think it turns out that the TA is like a vampire. He's something supernatural to like protect our other guy. I don't know. And they end up falling in love, I guess. It just was not good. There was no chemistry between the characters. It was not as well written as a lot of her other things. I don't know if it's because it's older or I just like wasn't vibing with it. I didn't like the chemistry between our characters. I thought they were, I don't know. I didn't not my favorite. Another book. It's called Dear Daddy, Please Spank Me by Char Croft. I talked about this in my last video. I've said that on my channel way too many times, and here I am again. This book goes in the top. I read it twice this year. I fucking loved it. Basically, it's an contemporary romance between these 2 guys who went to high school together, but they didn't really they didn't know each other really in high school. They match on a dating app and meet up again later in life and find out that they're perfect for one another. And it's really cute, and it's a fun like exploration of kink. It's really hot. It's actually really well written. It's really sweet. I loved it. I love it so much. It's so good. Next on my list is A Cutie for Kink Miss by Morticia Knight. I'm gonna put this one in the bottom. This is the first book that made it in the bottom that I actually finished, I think, but I only finished it because it's only like 100 pages. It is a short novella. I think I read a couple others in this like companion series. It's another like dating app, Christmas, trying to meet a daddy situation. I really am nothing if not consistent, but I didn't like this one. This one has age play in it, which I discovered not my thing. I didn't really think it was, but I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. Maybe it'll be cute. No, I thought it was not for me. So it's going to the bottom. Okay, Rogue by Only James. It's gonna go on the top. I actually really like this book. This is book 2 in Jericho's Boys, which is a spin-off of the Necessary Evil series. Basically, the main characters in this book are like vigilante killers, and they're all in this like found family situation, and they each have a like individual romance. And it was really good. I gave it 5 stars. All of Only James's books are the same. They have much the same like tropes in them. They're all serial killer romances. They're all very much like hurt comfort, intense, like insta love, but I eat them up every time, and I loved this one. This was probably one of my favorite ones in a while. I don't know why, I just really liked it, and I can't wait for new books in the series. I am so interested particularly in one character, and if his book, he's definitely not in the next book, and if he's not the 4th book after that, I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna sue Only James for emotional damage, so she better watch out. Next on my list is XOXO Santa by Spencer Spears? I don't know. I read this book because I was trying to do the alphabet challenge and I needed a book that started with X. This one was perfect. This is an contemporary holiday romance. It has like first time steam, it's jock nerd, and it's also got the you've got mail / anonymous trope. So it ticked a lot of my boxes, but I didn't love it. I gave it 2.5 stars. It did have some like cute or hot moments, but the characters are really juvenile and kind of cringe. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in the low category, although if you're also doing the alphabet challenge, it's really short. Alright, and here we have another of Tavia Lark's erotic shorts. This one is called Spring Fae's Embrace, and it is a little hot short romance between a fae and a human. And I'm gonna put it in the low category. It was not one of my favorites. Actually, I think I give it 2 stars. Okay, the next 2 books here are books 2 and 3 in Only James's Time Served series. Dangerous Breed is actually book 2. These are both like age gap romances with dark themes in them. I definitely like Domesticated Beast better. I actually gave this one 5 stars. I really liked it. Dangerous Breed, on the other hand, I gave 3.5 stars and thought it was just okay. I definitely liked the characters in Domesticated Beast better. I just thought they had better chemistry. I liked them better like as individual people as well, and thought their story was just more interesting than in Dangerous Breed. Also, if I didn't mention, these books are both like ex-con, like somebody that was in jail, and their basically much younger partner. The next book I have down here is Winter Werewolf's Claim by Tavia Lark, another erotic short, another paranormal romance between a human and a wolf shifter. I quite liked this one. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna put it in safe. I quite like this one. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was cute. It has the fated mate trope in it, and it's kind of got like a forced proximity, snowed in a winter cabin situation happening as well, which I like. This next book, Dear Daddy, Please Punish Me by Skylar Snow, I picked up because it's in the same series as this one by Char Croft, and I obviously really enjoyed that one. But this one, on the other hand, I DNF'd, and so it's going in the bottom. This one is, they use the same like dating app to meet up as they do in this one. That's how they're like connected through the series. They're not connected in any other way other than being contemporary age gap romances with BDSM elements. This one in particular is like a masochist looking for a daddy, and I think that it was just poorly written. Basically, it was too poorly written for me to enjoy reading it, enjoy the characters, and enjoy the romance. There's no chemistry, no banter, like dialogue bad. Not a fan. 5-star review by Marie Renard. Let's actually talk about Maytub Legend first. So these 2 are in the same series. Maytub Legend by Marie Renard is one of my favorite KU books of the year. I love that book. It is basically following 2 corn stars actually. One is in the like supernatural entertainment industry and one is in the human adult entertainment industry. They form this contract to film together, but little do they know that they're fated mates, and so being intimate with one another like triggers all this and triggers this bond between them, and they have to decide if they're gonna pick their love or their careers. Regardless of how goofy the premise sounds, this book was so good. I thought it was written so well. I thought the conflict was done really well. The yearning was incredible, and just the feelings that were on the page, it was so hot, and just like I love the like protective alpha bullshit, like no one else can see you like this, when they're literally filming an adult video like crazy. I love it. It's so dramatic. And 5-star review, also by Marie Renard, is like a short that comes after Made-Hub Legend, and it's about a guy who basically films like toy reviews and his roommate who's been in love with him forever, and how they finally realize that they're like meant to be together. This one was cute, but it definitely was not as good as the like first full book in the series. Thought it was a fun read. It's just a short little novella, but it's not anything great. Like I gave Made-Hub 5 stars and I gave 5-star review 3 stars, ironically enough. All right, here are some more of the like Alpha Omega hockey books by Marina Vivancos. This one, Overtime. I gave Overtime 3 stars. It's the 3rd book in the series. It is kind of similar to this 5-star review actually, in that it's a pairing that is like, one is long yearning, been in love with them forever, and the other is oblivious. And I think they're like friends slash roommates or something. It was good. I gave it 3 stars. I'm gonna also put it in the safe category. Broken Ice, on the other hand, is also in the series. It's book number 4. This one actually switches hockey teams though down to Miami, and I loved this one. I thought it was really good. I'm gonna put it in the high category though, because of what it is. It is so ridiculous that I don't think that I can justify putting it in the top category, but for what it is, it's really good. This one basically follows Bo. Bo is like a new guy to the hockey team. He is an Omega, and it's just been like recently that Omegas are allowed to participate in professional sports, but Bo has been participating for a long time, but he's been taking like suppressants and all these drugs have like fucked up his body. So he has these like really intense heats, and his teammate who seemingly hates him but is truly just a grumpy man of few words keeps volunteering to help Bo through these heats, and Bo is just like oblivious to how much Emilio is in love with him, and it's really cute. Yeah, I really like this one. This one's like a 4.5 4-star book. Vampire Delivery Service by Tavia Lark is another of her paranormal erotic shorts. This is a like mashup of 3 books all following the same couple, and it's a human who volunteers to give blood to this vampire delivery service, this blood delivery service, and he ends up falling in love with his first client, and they have to figure out how they can be together. I actually really liked this one. It's definitely my favorite of all of her shorts, and I said that in that video as well. I really liked this one, and I would recommend if you're looking for something short and spicy. I think they're pretty cute. Next on the list here is A Silver Fox for Kink Miss. This one I think is in the same series as this one, A Cutie for Kink Miss. I actually really liked this one though. It's another age gap, contemporary holiday type romance. But I really liked this one. Both of these characters are so sweet. The silver fox in question is just great. He's just like a cinnamon roll, and he's so funny, and he has this, I remember this bird, like having a bird, a pet bird, and it being just like so funny. Like I was just cracking up with this bird the whole book. But their romance was really cute and hot as well. I really liked it. So it's gonna go in the high category. I think I'm also gonna put King of Hollywood by Faye Quinn in the high category. This is a companion book to my Minotaur Daddy. These are like books about the major arcana, the tarot cards, like inspired by. And this one was actually really good. It's a little long, which is why it's not going in the top category and why it didn't get a super high rating. I think I gave it like 3.75 stars. I probably could give it 4 stars. It's another paranormal romance. This one is between a vampire and a serial killer, and it's such an interesting pairing, and it's so fun to like be in the mind of the serial killer like throughout the length of the story. Like it's so funny, and just the pairing is incredible. They're like just so sweet, and I loved how obsessed with each other they were. I don't know, it was really funny. It was a really good one. Out of the Wild Night by Marina Vivancos. This is the 2nd book in the like Coven Ties series, I think it's called. The first one, where's the first one? Being Oh Sacred Dark. Unlike Oh Sacred Dark though, I hated this one. I actually DNF'd it at 15%, mostly because the first 15% of the book was like graphic essay DV. Yeah, that was very triggering for me to read, and I was like, oh, I'll just push through and it'll be like over, but no, we're just like still dealing with the trauma of it, which understandable, but I just can't read a book like that. That's just not who I am. I couldn't do it, so I DNF'd it, and it's going in the bottom. A Ginger for Kink Miss by Char Croft is another book that I read in this same stupid like Christmas holiday series. I think I thought that one was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It's an contemporary romance. It's by Awakening. best friend's brother, also First Times. And it was cute. I think after I read this book by Chara Croft, I was just trying to read a bunch of stuff by her to try and find something that hit like this one did, and nothing hit like that one did. It's like a 2-star book. I'm gonna put it in low. I'm also gonna put Anything Goes by Chara Croft in the low category. I'm so sad that like none of her other books lived up to that one, but they just didn't. They just simply did not. Anything Goes is an college romance between a straight guy and his sweetie cinnamon roll gay roommate. Basically, he decides that he doesn't want to see his roommate hooking up with anyone other than him, so he claims him for himself, which was, I don't know, kind of crazy. So I will say about that book, it was just too long. Like, if it had just been that for like 250 pages, sure. That book's like 450 pages long though, and it's like, how no contemporary romance needs to be that long, especially when it's just a like smutty contemporary romance. It just got very repetitive and the same things were happening over and over again, and it was like, okay, let's get to the point. So I think that that one could have been better and it could have hit if it hadn't have been so long. That is my tier list. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you enjoyed me yapping at you for the last however many minutes about all of the smut that I've read this year. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if any of them would be interesting to you. I definitely think like all of the books in my top and my high category are worth reading. I would recommend all of those pretty much. If they sound like something you'd be into, they definitely are more like a specific taste, and that's why not all of them make it into my like recommendation videos, but it is stuff that I'm reading throughout the year, so I figured I would share it with you guys, and hopefully you found this video fun and interesting. I really appreciate you being here and spending time with me. If this is your first time on my channel, or if you're not already, I would appreciate you subscribing. I talk about pretty much exclusively queer books on this channel. If that's something you are interested in, I would appreciate you sticking around. Also, if you don't have a KU subscription and you want one, I have a link in the description that you'll get your like first month free or some kind of deal. I don't know. Check that out if you're interested. You can also follow me on all social media. Those links are in the description, and don't forget to like this video and leave me a comment. And once again, thank you so much for being here and for watching, spending time with me. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.